Hello and welcome. My name is Ajaxpost and we're back here with the third episode in our sort of first look at this brand new game, Evil Democracy 1932. And you may notice, if you've seen the previous two episodes, I have a brand new logo. Yes, right there in the top left, that looks quite different. And that's largely because earlier today, the game developers, Hamsters Gaming, issued a smallish update to the game, which actually changed a few things in terms of how the AI works and the game balance, and a few other little things to fix some of the issues that were obviously arising from the game as it's being played now. And unfortunately, that meant my old save games were no longer compatible. So I've started again. I've chosen once again a small fringe-ish party. Perhaps not quite as much on the fringe as the Social Credit Party, brackets UK, but fringy nonetheless. And I've gone from centre-right to centre-left, apparently. This is the Independent Labour Party, once again, brackets UK. And as you can see here, again, because I got my agitators out quite early, I think, I'm already up to 5th position in the voting poll. Very impressive indeed. If we take a look at the map, look at that. I'm in 4th place in the West Midlands. Everywhere else, pretty much 5th place. Can I look at that in more detail? Look at, oh, that's lovely. Oh, 4th place. Yes, very impressive. Again, referring to the comments that some of you have made, I think it was Julie Fisher. I hope I've got your name right. And indeed Mr. Phosphorek and a couple of other people who commented on these videos, yeah, they appear to be a little bit random in their selection of party logos. I'm not quite sure how accurate some of these logos are for this time of the century, 1932. I think some of them, like the Social Credit Party, the ILP, which I am now, I believe are pretty much accurate, but they're not always spot on. But again, that's something that will evolve as the game goes through early access. Okay, now I've discovered, I played on quite a bit yesterday, and I think I've got a better handle on how much data you're getting out of the system. So for example, I'm currently on turn 5. I've employed a number of activists. If I go to my headquarters again, we can see the staff. I've got just over 1.1k agitators on the payroll. Still no promoters. I've not printed any newspapers yet. Activists, I'll come back to them in a moment, in fact. But I got the agitators out fairly quickly, and that gave me quite a boost in terms of this map. As you can see here, I'm in 4th place or whatever. Agitator wise though, yeah, everyone else has caught up with me. But I think we noticed this in the last episode. Up here you've got this indicator here, the number of citizens that are attracted by the agitation, by my people on the streets saying how fabulous we are and how terrible the opposition are. So I've got an extra 1.1k, just over 1,000 new voters on the sort of signed up for my party. What I hadn't noticed previously was that on this report here, it actually gives you a much more detailed breakdown. So here we can see in which region we've actually secured new voters and where we've lost them. So we can see here we've got roughly 74 agitators in every region of the country. Sponsors don't tend to come out through agitation. We'll look at those a little bit later when we do the newspapers and demonstrations and stuff. But here you can see where we are getting our best results. So the question here is do I switch my agitation around to focus more on, for example, Scotland, where I'm losing votes, at the risk of losing them in the southwest, where I'm doing reasonably well? And again, it's difficult to tell from here quite what the best results would be for me in terms of the number of votes overall for the UK, because that's the important thing, I think, is getting the overall votes right. Probably. I'm not entirely certain. But anyway, where are we now? We've got my journalists employed, the editorial team, doing interviews and slander and compromising material. We've got our newspaper editor and leaflet manager here, both with the requisite skills. I currently have just the one leader, the party leader here, who has skills of 100. That's not a percentage. That actually does go up. Now, when I was playing through last night, I saw it refer to some changes would give you a leader skill set of 200. So whether it goes beyond that, I don't know. But that's not a percentage. That is a sort of bonus number for that particular skill. And obviously they can go down again as well. And we'll look at that in a little bit more detail in a moment. Now, I think my journalists... Why do I keep clicking journalists when I want editorial team? Have completed their first set of tasks. So I should now be in a position to print a newspaper. I have got these here. Okay, now, what I've seen here is these things here, this +3, indicates that a random parameter of my leader should increase by that amount following publication of the newspaper. So if we stick that in there, and it's not telling me about the slander, sorry, about the compromising material. We'll come back to that when we do our next edition. Okay, so we have just got these 3 articles to print for this current edition. We can't schedule anything for the next time, so we will do that. We will send out... How much is this going to cost me? 5% of my funds, that's 175,000. I should be okay with that. Circulation of leaflets. I mean, the numbers I look at here are these down here. The circulation of leaflets is the new voters and new sponsors I get. Actually, that's interesting because the numbers do change as you add newspapers, although the circulation of leaflets is the only thing it says here. Almost as if these numbers are only related to the leaflets, but they do include both newspaper and leaflet publication and promotion. Do I want to spend that amount of money on newspapers? No, we'll start that. We'll start fairly low, I think. We don't have any promoters at the moment, but we need them to send out that many leaflets, so I'll hire those promoters and we'll print that for a total price of 377,000. Let's do that. Okay, so my budget goes down, all the rest of it, that's fine. Anything else I need to worry about at this point? I haven't picked a dogma yet. No, I did, sorry, I did indeed. Sorry, my mistake. I did before you came to the recording. So being centre left, we've got a different selection to make here. My qualms about this are the negative. The cost of printing goes up. Well, what I'm hoping is that that will be sort of offset by an increase in the number of sponsors we get from successfully publishing our newspaper and leaflets. But I was really attracted by this positive result. 5% of voters from all regions become supporters. Yes, I like that a lot. Okay, so that's our dogma. That's going to take another 17 turns to come through. If we go to the map and protests, this price has gone down. Now, I did actually notice that when I was playing forward after the previous recording, that it went down from 2 million to 1,600,000. But I'm not sure why it did that, to be honest. So we're going to keep an eye on that, but we're not going to schedule a demonstration yet because I don't have a leader yet. Well, let's do that in the next turn. So let's go back to our headquarters. We'll go next turn. Yes, we have got a few new sponsors. We've got new voters. We're going to ignore that message there about printing 1 million newspapers. No, thank you very much. But if we go to our report, this is for the previous day. That's not strictly accurate. That's interesting. You would have thought it should come through from there, actually. But it hasn't. If I click next turn now and then go to the report, it's still saying we've got no new sponsors. Okay, now I am slightly confused. When I did this before, it did. It told me I would get new sponsors, but I haven't from that newspaper. Okay, now I can't print a new newspaper for another 4 turns, but a little trick that I employed off camera after the last episode was I'm going to fire my promoters here because they're costing me nearly 4 grand each turn, and I don't need them while I'm not printing anything, so I'm going to fire them. I mean, these are just, let's talk about zero contracts, shall we? 0 hour contracts. So they're going to be off staff for the moment, so my per turn income is going to go up slightly. And while I'm on this page, activists. Now, to talk about activists, I need to go back to the map. And the activists here. No, it's not that I want. What I want is voters here. Now, the opportunity to influence the results with the help of activists opens up 3 turns before the start of elections. So my understanding of that is that no activists are required until just before the election itself. And I think, as we saw in the last episode, nobody else has got any activists at this point either. Yeah, nobody else has got activists anywhere on the ground. So I'm not going to waste money by employing any. But what I will do, because the effect of the agitators does decrease over time, and I want to make sure the momentum is kept up by my team. So we're going to acquire a few more. We'll hire, say, I'm sure they're more expensive this time round, and I can't remember if that was in the patch notes or not, but okay, I want my income not to go too far. Okay, another 259 keeps my income above 50 grand per turn, so we'll do that. Now on the map here, if I go into agitators, you can't, by the look of it, send agitators to specific regions. You can either send them equally to all, proportionally to the number of voters, or to the 25% of regions where you have the lowest percentage, or 25% of the regions where you have the highest percentage of voters, or the highest number of voters. So I think if we send all these extra 259 to where I have the lowest percentage of the voters, see if they can stir up interest in those parts of the country, like down here in the southwest, where I'm not terribly popular at the moment. So we'll send those people out to do that. Okay, so what we'll do is do next turn. There we go. And if we go to agitation again, wow, that was impressive. 2.3 thousand. I have a suspicion that couldn't have all come from the agitation, surely. Or has it? It looks like it might have done. Yeah, I'm getting a lot in the West Midlands now. I'm losing less in Scotland. In fact, some parts of Scotland, I'm picking up votes now. Yeah, so you can see here the 138 agitators. These are obviously the regions where I had the lowest percentage of voters. So by sending more agitators in, I've actually started picking up people in Scotland, which you may recall was right down here losing voters on the previous turns. That is excellent. Right, now I do want another leader. Go away, I don't want to do you yet. So, protests. Let's have a look at what protests do. Now to do this, we do really need a new leader. Someone who's got the charisma and can take on a demonstration and get people really carried along with our message. But while I'm here, before I hire him, just notice James Maxton, my party leader, has 103 now for both charisma and being eloquent in the newspaper. So those are the +3 effects of those newspaper articles reflected directly in there. So we're going to hire a new leader. We want someone with really good charisma. This is interesting. When I picked this up, when I went into this page before the recording started, these people were in a different order with different stats. They've been moving around. So who's our highest, most eloquent speaker? Looks like Fenner Brockway, because you're the person we want in front of the crowds at the demonstrations and heading the strikes and so on. So are your skills good anywhere else? You're less good. I'm sure when I first came here, John McNair had really good skills and everything. But now Campbell Stephen looks quite good in terms of everything apart from charisma, where he's a little bit behind Fenner. But I don't... Will that 5 points make a real difference? I'm hoping not. So I'm going to employ Campbell Stephen. And he will be... He looks a little bit like Churchill. I wonder how accurate these portraits actually are. So there you are. You can go in there. Right. Do we want to have a demonstration at this point? We've got our leader there, 74. We've got a budget currently of 2.5 million, so we could afford this. If we get the people voting for us now, let's do that. Okay, as we saw previously, I mean, going to the north for 1.5 million looks like a better deal than going to, say, the east of the country for the same price, where you've got so many fewer people to influence. So yeah, let's organise a demonstration in the north. Done. Okay, now that effect will come through in the next turn, I hope. So keep an eye on these voters and sponsors numbers. Do they change dramatically? Whoa! Number of voters practically doubled. The number of sponsors went up from 4,000 to 7,500. Our per turn income is now 177,000 as opposed to 60. That's the impact of demonstrations. If I go through here, we can see, look at this. This is the impact that Stephen Campbell rather, is it Campbell Stephen or Stephen Campbell? Stephen Campbell, whatever your name was, I've forgotten already. Gosh. Yeah, so these are the new voters we picked up in those northern regions, including Scotland. And the number of sponsors, and that's the key at this stage of the game, I think, is getting the sponsors in to get that revenue going. We need that money to get the party in front of as many people as we can. So here you can see the impact of the demonstration. The agitation gave us 2,000 new voters, but the demonstration, 257,000 new voters and 3,500 new sponsors. Now, with any luck, they'll stay with us. Now, what that means, with this extra income, I can send out more activists. I could employ more journalists. Well, let's go for the agitators to start with. So let's get more people out there on the streets, spreading the good word about independent labour. So I'm looking at the income after hiring is the number I really pay attention to. So I think if we get... we could put another 1,000 on the street and still have over 1,000 in the bank, 100,000 coming in every turn. Let's not do it quite so many. Let's say 787. Let's go for that. Okay, now if we look at our report, again it's the north, isn't it? But that's the one sort of issue I have with this map is you can't really sort of focus those agitators on those areas. Proportionally to the voters, let's send these. No, we'll keep them going to the 25 where we have the 25% of our lowest percentage regions. So we'll send those guys out there. Okay, we're still. Yeah, we're still. We're not doing great, but I mean, look at the blue bars, which is us. So out of all the agitators in the country in that region, we're doing reasonably well. So let's crack on with that. The number of voters. Yeah, we're doing really well actually here. We're in 3rd place in Yorks and Humber, for example. We're still a very long way behind the Tories and the official Labour Party. But, you know, we're getting there. but we still have over 200 turns to go. So things can... Oh, look at how Scotland's turning around for us. I like that. Northern Ireland? Not so bad. You know, the south of the country isn't so much a Labour stronghold, but that's the way of the world. I like that. Right. Let's go next turn. And what happened then? We're getting good numbers in again. Still, but look at this. We're losing that many voters in the north. So it looks like the effect of the demonstration was fairly short term in terms of the number of voters. But at least we're not losing sponsors. So the money is still coming in. Okay, I'm okay with that. We'll be printing a newspaper again in the next turn. So that's fine by me. Right, so time to do another newspaper. Right, now here we are. We've got, we're still just interviewing our leader. Right, we'll put the articles in place, and then we'll look at changing that around a bit. So look at this, random parameter +4. That's the good thing to lead with, I think. Now, this is interesting. You're seeing here the influence on voters, Liberal voters here, by slandering the party is +2. I like the sound of that, whatever it actually means. And we're still going to, we'll attack the Labour Party this time for that. Now, the interesting thing I noticed, I don't think we did this in the last episode, is if we put, say, an article in there for our next edition. Notice these numbers here. I'm not entirely sure what they mean. I suspect, because as you can see there's no help text or anything, no tooltip on that. I suspect they reflect the influence the article has on the readership. So if we put you in, that's only 17, whereas that article is 26. So click that one to get rid of it. We don't want that. The Liberal one, 27. The Labour Party budget issue again. Yeah, that's good. I think we can fit about 6 in here, but we're not going to do that for now because we can change this next time around. You can kind of automate that process if you like by this here, by the printing maximum articles as we saw before, where it sort of presets what it thinks is going to give you the best results. Like here, the +4 interviews with our leader. So if we go in here, oh, you can put more than 6 in there. And it's lined all these up here. Interesting. So you don't need to think about it. Well, you can't take them out because I've set it to auto select this button here. Let's see what that does. Okay, let's go for, again, another fairly big distribution. Leaflets. Again, I'm looking for the sort of best bang per buck here, really. I'm not sure it's worth going to 200k when 150k gives us that. So, likewise there. I think 75, 150 works for me. We do need to hire the promoters now for the leaflets. So we'll hire them now on their 0 hours contract. And we'll print that for 325,000. Yeah, and our budget is obviously going to fall somewhat here. So we'll do that. That's ready. So what I'll do is on the editorial team is I'll reselect these options here. Again, we can't tell what they're actually doing here apart from interviewing. But who are they interviewing? I don't know. Who are they finding compromising material on? I don't know. So it is very annoying that we can't see more about what they're doing. So let's get these interviews. We'll take you off that interview. The interviewing skill is the same, 9 for those two, so it doesn't matter. We'll take you off. We'll leave the compromising material on for the moment. We'll just do this one journalist. So you can be interviewing now our second party leader, our junior leader, and big him up. It's nice to have 2 big characters in the party to attract people to vote for us. So we'll be doing that, and that interview won't appear for a few days yet. Hopefully it will in time for the next print run of the paper. Now the paper has been printed. Let's distribute it, and that job is done. And the report shows us, yeah, we've got the printed, we've got voters, and the newspaper gave us 2,500 new voters. Excellent, but again, no new sponsors. I'm not sure where the sponsors come from. I'm sure I saw they came from the newspaper, but I might be mistaken on that. It might have just been the demonstrations. But then demonstrations are so expensive. How are we doing on agitation? We still got a fair number out there. Voters. Oh, we're slipping slightly in some of these regions. Yeah, I think we're still doing generally okay. Somewhere between 4th and 6th place. So 5th really, overall, would be good. Sponsors. Yeah, again, it'd be nice to know how you could get sponsors. Maybe that's what the activists do? Not entirely sure, but again, I'm saving money by not having any out there. Do you know what we'll do? Just to see what happens, shall we employ some and see what the heck they do? Let's do that. So let's go back headquarters. The staff will fire all the promoters again. Thank you, did a grand job, but we'll come back to you shortly. And we'll hire some activists. Now, how much are these going to cost me? Wow, quite a bit of money. Let's take, just say, about 200. Yeah, for now, and see what they do. So we're going to hire you. And we'll put you on the map. Again, we'll put them where we have our lowest percentage of the voters. We'll target them there. So 100%, 205. Now you see here, the fight for influence begins in 238 turns. So whether these guys will actually have any effect or not is anybody's guess. But let's see what happens. Right, next turn, let's see what impact they have. Okay, and difficult to we've only gained 484 voters through the agitation. Yeah, we've still got no new sponsors. And here, if we look at the activists, I don't think they're having any influence, to be honest, on the voting here. It really is the agitators that do that. So what we'll do is we'll take our activists out of the field. We'll withdraw 100% of them. Thank you. And I'll send them back to their day jobs. I'm not firing them really. I'm just giving them the opportunity to earn money in real productive jobs. So we'll fire all of you. There you go. And my per turn income is back to 142,000, which is very nice. Okay, right, and that I think what we'll do, I'll end this episode here, because at this point of the game it is pretty much clicking next and trying to just sort of adjust the articles you're printing to gain the most traction. Every week, pretty much every 5 turns or so, each newspaper comes around, and trying to work out where best to send your activists, your agitators, and that is kind of the trick here. This doesn't help me at all. It's here, yeah. So again, we're gaining a lot in the southwest and the West Midlands, and losing similar numbers right up in the north of the country. So it would be nice to work out if we could find a good balance there. Whether you should sort of send out numbers using each of these options at different times to affect that impact on the number of voters for your party. That's the kind of thing. And I'm not sure there's enough information in the game yet, or enough sort of specificity in how you target voters to really provide us with a good understanding of how that mechanic properly works and how to exploit it to give your party those extra votes that you need. But at least we're still gaining voters, and I think running on as I did after the last episode I did need to keep employing, I don't want to do that, I keep making that mistake. The agitation here is a report. I need to go here to get new staff. You do need to keep hiring more agitators. Now, I haven't been watching this, to be honest, but it's quite possible, of course, that the AI is hiring agitators as well. They're ramping up their efforts to counteract mine. So I need to keep on top of that dynamic as well. So, yeah, they do cost me a lot of money to hire. Yeah, that's okay. Let's hire you. Again, I'll send you out. Where shall we send you out? Actually, should we send you out to the highest number of voters? We'll send you out there, okay, and see what difference that makes in the next turn. But I'm not going to show you that because I'm going to wrap this episode up here. So there we are. We see that our newspaper does have an impact on the attributes of our leaders. As you can see, these numbers have gone up from 100 to 107, 104, 103. We haven't had an interview yet for our deputy leader, our second junior leader, printed yet. So that will be in the next newspaper. And hopefully those attributes will increase again. Although you don't know which one. It is, as it says, it is a random uptick in their stats that you're getting. But that's it. So I think I'm getting more of a grip on how the game works. It's not perfect yet by any means. As we said, it's very early access. Now the developers have said, I'm not quite sure if I understood how they said it, but they're planning on at least 3 months in early access, which is quite a short time. They may well be able to get the whole game as they see it sorted by then. But we have seen games that have spent at least that number of years in early access. I mean, I'm thinking of Sim Airport, for example, which I think did spend about 3 years in early access, but turned out to be a really good game, and it was worth that time spent getting it honed and perfected. So it'll be interesting to see how much time this game was given in early access to develop before it's published as a fully released game. But that's it. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Evil Democracy 1932. I'm not yet sure if I'll produce any more of the episodes on this, because the dynamics of it seem to be fairly straightforward. I don't fully understand them, but in terms of the effect the staff you have, the journalists you have, the demonstrations and protests have, that all seems fairly clear, and it is a kind of a clicky thing from here, just sort of clicking through to see if you can keep up the your competition with the AI on that. So whether it's worth doing that many more episodes at this point, I'm not sure, but certainly as the game develops, we will be coming back to it and exploring how the game is evolving and looking at how good a game it does eventually turn out to be. But that's it. Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, it'd be great to hear from you. A like would be lovely. Click on the old thumbs up. Even better though, if you've got any thoughts, if you've played the game further and there's something I've not understood yet or that I should be showing, then please do let me know. If you've got any criticisms of the way I'm doing it or the game itself, whatever you've got to say, just drop it into the comments box below. It'd be awesome to hear from you. And of course, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, you can do that now, and that way you'll know when I upload another one of these, or indeed any of my other Let's Play series. But from me, Ajaxpost, here in Evil Democracy 1932, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon. But until then, bye bye for now.